Friends, Democrats, volunteers, neighbors, let me begin with something that is on everyone's mind. Can we win in Texas? Yes, we can win. Not someday, not hypothetically, and definitely not if we are waiting for someone else to rescue us. We can win right here in Denton County.
Education shapes the future of every Texas child. But the decisions about what students learn are made by a group of people most voters rarely hear about. One of those people could soon be educator Amy Taylor.
My name is Amy Taylor, and I'm running for State Board of Education District 14. I am an experienced and award-winning teacher, and I am absolutely worried about Texas public schools and the directions we're going. As a teacher, I know how important the State Board of Education is, even though it's something that gets so little press. The State Board of Education decides exactly what our kids learn every single year in every single subject. And we have standards that are being controlled by people with more political interest than they have interest in taking care of kids and making sure our kids are educated and ready for college, career, and military at the end of 12th grade. I am not going to go down without a fight. And I am going to make sure to stand up for our kids and their need to learn and be ready to compete at the national level and international level. That's why I'm running for State Board of Education. I've been teaching for 15 years. I'm a public school teacher. I've taught at high poverty schools my entire career. Teaching is my life's work. I'm running for State Board of Education because I know how much the State Board of Education shapes what teachers do in the classroom. You can have a phenomenal teacher who can be hampered by by standards that are set by the state that are inappropriate. Our kids can come to school ready to learn, and if we don't put in front of them the challenges that they need, they're not going to succeed. And we need to let them succeed, because our kids are the most important resource we have in Texas. Listen, I am a parent of a former public school teacher, but my kid is grown. But it still matters to me how kids graduate, because I live in the context of the communities that are producing kids, graduates of Texas public schools. We are all in it.
Who decides what Texas students learn in the classroom? The answer may surprise many voters.
The State Board of Education has a critical role. They decide exactly what is taught in what order, so that if your kid lives in Corsicana in 7th grade and moves to Denton in 8th grade, they're going to have a consistency of their learning, so that they're not learning history, U.S. history in Texas, in Corsicana in 7th grade, and then U.S. history and Texas history again in 8th grade. It is essential that we have standards that are shaped by educators and researchers and professionals who know how kids work developmentally. And that's why I'm running. I'm very worried about the changing history standards in Texas. Texas State Board of Education has decided to promote Texas history far more than it already is being promoted, and to minimize international world history and geography. And I think that puts our Texas students at a disadvantage. Imagine you have a kid graduating from Texas college, high school, and going on to college. Maybe they've gotten into a great college. They're going to be less prepared than their counterparts from Massachusetts or Mississippi, because they have so much Texas history, which is fascinating, but they have so little world history. They're not going to be ready for the role they're playing in a global economy. And we need to get our kids college, career, and military ready, which means they must know what the world, how the world has been shaped, who has shaped the world, and how they can contribute to the world. We want our Texas students to achieve excellence in all areas. And I think the history standards have to be adjusted by historians and teachers who care about kids succeeding in the world. The State Board of Education does not control funding of education. It simply controls what kids learn and when and in what order, and the standards for teacher certification. We are seeing far-right religious organizations put their hand-picked people as advisors to the State Board of Education. They are not historians, yet they are advising us on history. We need real historians and real teachers to shape what students learn in Texas public schools.
For Amy Taylor, the future of Texas education begins in the classroom and with the teachers who guide students every day. She believes respecting educators and listening to those on the front lines is key to building stronger schools and preparing Texas students for the future.
There's so much at stake in the State Board of Education race. There are only 15 members in the entire state. The State Board of Education shapes what every single Texas public school kid learns or doesn't learn. And there seems to be a political movement in Texas that is about weakening our kids, dumbing them down, making sure that they don't know honest history, making sure that they don't have real science. And that should concern all of us, whether or not we have kids or not in schools. That should concern us because we have kids who are going to grow up to be running our economy, to be running our hospitals, to be running our schools, to be making decisions about how our communities are shaped. And if they don't have the skills, I'm concerned about what's going to happen in Texas and how our economy is going to grow with kids who've been hindered by their education, not helped. Teachers have skin in the game. We have been fighting for kids for so long. We've been funding our classrooms. We've been buying books and decorating classrooms to make them engaging for kids. We have put our time and energy after school, on weekends, into our kids. But what we're seeing is a State Board of Education that cares more about politics than kids, more about putting their own personal ideas of what history should be taught than about what kids need to know in order to be competitive. And I want to fight for kids. I've been fighting for kids for 15 years, and it's not enough to simply worry about my classroom. I have to worry about kids in all classrooms, because the State Board of Education controls what happens in my classroom. And I have a lot to lose if they don't fix what they've been doing. But the State Board of Education affects every single child in the state of Texas. It is important that we vote for somebody who cares about kids and what they're going to learn and is not trying to put their own political bent on what kids should be prevented from learning. I am so proud to be running. I'm proud to be representing my fellow teachers. I'm a public school teacher and I'm a fighter for kids. I'm going to fight for my kids in my classroom, and I'm going to fight for your kids all across the state.